Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Oh, and happy Mother's Day, everybody, for all the women out there in the world who have children. Thank you for all you do. Happy Mother's Day. We love you. God bless you. Keep fighting the good fight. My name is Jimmy Smith. I'm the host of The Big Show. Alongside of me is my co-host and color commentator, Dwayne Ward, and also host of Pissed Off Parent. You guys make sure you check him out. He does his podcast throughout the week. The Big Show is a podcast where we discuss modern day issues like men's health, masculinity, the hard truth about dating, and what makes a man a man. So let's go ahead and get the Big Show started. Dwayne, good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, as you had mentioned. Appreciate all the things that you did, because without you, we all wouldn't be here.
That is true. Hey, question for you. So on Facebook today is like the day where when you look at Facebook posts, a lot of the women will go, no, hold on. That's on Father's Day. On Father's Day, the women will go, oh, well, I'm a mother and a father, so I should be happy Father's Day also. Does that work the same for us? I mean, the guys who are listening right now, who are raising their kids, do they get to take credit for today? Is that how this works?
Yeah, boy, you really got the hook in the mouth for me. I was gonna not say anything, but yeah, every year on Mother's Day and Father's Day, there's always the I'm the mother and the father. Then there's the usually the fathers don't do the fathers and the mother, but yeah, that happens all the time. You know, I'm the mother and the father. Just personal disclosure, I'm actually the mom and the dad in my situation. I have 100% custody of my children, so. Yeah, I don't go out there doing that. But yeah, there are unfortunately some folks that like to do that. I mean, yeah, they should be in certain scenarios like that. They should be praised or whatever. But yeah, that going out, it's something. I guess maybe as a guy, I see it more on Father's Day, where you have the some of the ladies that for whatever reason decide to put that out there. For whatever reason, but yeah, that does happen.
It's because they have to have it all. They have to have it all.
They have to have it all, unfortunately, and wish that would be different. Sometimes it's just put your head down and just do your job. And hey, life didn't turn out the way you thought it was going to work with the picket fences and all that, and you got to do the best for your kids. But unfortunately, some folks they decide that they want to do things a little differently. But I digress.
Isn't that the truth? So this week at work, I get into a discussion with some colleagues and stuff. Men and women, we're all just kind of talking, and one of the female coworkers I work with was talking about her dating life, and I don't remember what brought it up, but sometimes whenever I'm listening to people talk about relationships, because I kind of do this myself and help people. I don't always speak out, but I sit back, and sometimes when people will say things or give advice, I'll just kind of go, oh, God, that's like the worst advice you could ever give. And it's a little cringy. And I remember her saying something along the lines of, men are easy to figure out or something like that. And I made the counter argument that men know women way better than women know men. And she, of course, scoffed, right? And she's like, you got to be kidding me. Women know men way more than men know women. And I said, it's just not true. Because the way that the modern dating market is right now, it's not conducive to women even learning men at all. And I went on saying that in the dating market, when a woman puts herself out there, she gets a plethora of men chasing her in her DMs. She doesn't even have to be on dating sites in order for men to be chasing her. She can just have a social media account and guys will be all up in her DMs. But how many women are all up in the men's DM? Hardly any at all. There's been countless studies.
I mean, it's personal experience. I'm sitting there and every day on my Insta Snap and TokTik and all that stuff. I wish I could turn that part of it off. But there's a lot of thirsty ladies out there. I don't understand how to use parts of it because I'm old. And I'll lean over and go to my wife and go, "What is all this crap?" And you'll say, "Just a bunch of people wanting to slide into your DMs."
Are these women that reply and say hello or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's a Nigerian prince or something out of. I mean, I'm not like, well, look at me. I'm all
Just making sure. I don't want to be that big because some dude from Nigeria is posing as a chick, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But you know, they've done studies where they've taken a very attractive man and put a profile on a dating site, and then took a very unattractive, overweight woman and put her on the same dating profile, and counted how many matches they got. And the unattractive woman had gotten 4 times the matches as the most attractive man. And so what's my point? My point is that women don't have to learn men. They just exist, and the men will come rushing to them. You know, women control access to a couple of things in life, and we've spoken about this. They control access to sex, and they control access to whether or not a child gets brought into this world. And, you know, when men are courting or chasing women, you know, let's be honest. If you're a man, there's an old saying. It says, men sleep with who they can, and they marry who they want. But women sleep with who they want and marry who they can. And the reason why is because men control access to relationships. We're the ones that say, I do. We're the ones that say we're boyfriend and girlfriend. So whenever it comes to courting from men to women, women have a huge advantage in the beginning and a slight disadvantage when the relationship continues down weeks, months down the road, years, whatever. And so in the beginning, if you're a man, it is very hard for a man to have a sexual relationship with a woman. Right. You have to be a whole lot of things to be able to have a sexual relationship with a woman. You've got to be good looking, and you know, all the sixes for sure, right? You've got to know what makes women happy, what makes them upset, what charms them, what work you got to put in. Like, in order for you to bed a woman, you've got to know a whole lot about women, because you're not just going to stumble and fall into this task here.
Right.
If a woman wants to sleep with a man, how much does she have to learn about men?
That they have a pulse. I mean,
correct.
Much.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So the reason why I think most women think that they know men is because they're looking at the amount of men that they're attracting. And women's argument will be, well, I don't have any problem attracting men. I don't have any problem getting men. That's not the issue. The issue is, do you have a problem keeping men?
Right.
That's the difference. Because if you're a woman, let me just go ahead and give you the hard truth, ladies. If you're a woman and you are in a relationship, and then another one and another one and another one, and no one's trying to throw a ring on your finger, you're probably doing something wrong. You've got some growing to do. You've got some learning to do. And just because you can attract multiple men, you do not get credit for something that comes to you effortlessly. Only the value, all the valuable things in life, they take time and they take a lot of effort and energy to attract. That's why they're valuable. Valuable things are rare. There's nothing that's given away for free that we would consider valuable. You know, water is $1 a gallon because it's in abundance, at least in the West it is, right? You know, so when there's something that's rare, like a Lamborghini or a big house or, you know, gold, for instance, or diamonds, it takes many, many years to create or to make a diamond. That's why it's so expensive, because it's rare. It's a rare commodity. So if women are having a hard time keeping men, if you're a woman and you're looking at your ring finger and there's a whole lot of vacancy right there and no one's ever even asked you, you know what, scratch that. Because men sometimes will ask because they're in the emotional stage and you guys break up and whatever. If a man has never premeditatedly went to Kay's jeweler or wherever, spent $20,000 on a ring of significant carriage, and dropped down on one knee and proposed to you, then you need to level yourself up as a woman, because you're not developing the skills needed to attract men for a long-term relationship. If you're a woman and you have a man and he just proposes to you without a ring, then it was something fleeting. You can't really count that because there wasn't a whole lot of thought. Chances are, not in all cases, but chances are he's in his feels, he's emotional, doesn't want to let you go, and he feels that proposing to you would be what's needed to bring the union back together. We all know those relationships. So that was kind of my argument when we were doing the debate this week at work. And I decided to put together some top things that men want in relationships. And this podcast is, of course, for men and women, but it's mostly for women today. And the men are going to find this pretty amusing and pretty enjoyable. Some of you guys might go, that means a little bit to me. Other guys are going to go, yeah, that means a lot to me. But you guys are going to know once and for all. You guys are going to know whenever I start reading these things off that, yeah, you know what, it's pretty dead on. That's exactly what we want. And I haven't covered all things that men want, but I covered the top 15, top 20 things. And I'm doing this for women because the truth is that when something comes to you very easy, it's unlikely you're going to take the initiative to learn too much about. You're unlikely going to take the initiative to learn to attract something that you attract very easy. But the top tier women, the women who are wife material, because we talked about this a few weeks ago, men put women into two main categories: wife material and everything else. Wife material and everything else. And the women who are wife material has either gotten very lucky, unlikely, very lucky in learning some of these things that I'm going to talk about today, or they've done the work and they've studied men because they're thinking, I want to be a wife, I want to be a mother, I want to have a long-term relationship that leads to marriage, and we both grow old together. So in order for me to do that, I need to figure out how men think, how men act. The good women out there already know these things I'm about to talk about. All the rest of the women out there, if you're listening to some of the things and it's the first time you've ever heard it, or you think that's not really true, then you're wrong, because it is. It is. So
I'm special.
Yeah.
I'm different.
And there is a ton of delusion out there in today's dating market.
You were saying that when you're talking about the dating, and women make that mistake, and you've mentioned this a number of times, that just because they get matched a lot or they can take men to bed a lot, that doesn't mean much. I mean, a guy, a 10, a 9, an 8 will sleep with a 1 or a 2 or a 3, but he definitely won't have a long-term relationship with her. And unfortunately, women, they're 1, 2s, and 3s. They believe the Hallmark Channel or whatever they're believing in. They think, oh, well, this 10 is sleeping with me and I'm a 3. That means that I can get a 10. Well, you can get a 10 for 1 night or on a late Friday night after his match decided to say no to him. But women that think that they're a 3 and they're getting a 10, they're deluding themselves thinking they can get one or that they can keep one. Yeah. And that's one of the lessons that they really need to learn. And it's not to be mean. It's just that's the reality.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Hallmark and all these movies, they show, a 2 or a 3 finding that attractive 7, 8, or 9 that comes back to her hometown, and they fall in love, and he leaves his job to be with her. Those Hallmark movies.
Yeah. But on the Lifetime channel.
Lifetime channel. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you a quick story. I'll tell you about a very, very important female friend of mine who I adore tremendously. She was married. She has 2 girls, and she married herself a high value man, good looking, full head of hair, makes a lot of money. She was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, she kind of lived the American dream. And, things didn't quite work out for the relationship. Nothing bad ever happened, but things didn't work out. And she got out on the open dating market, and the men that she dated after her husband were all good quality men as well. I don't know if they necessarily all qualified for the high value men because they made the money, but they were all good stand-up dudes. She spent her entire life, dating men who most women out there would see one of those men that she dated as the one. And she attracts these kinds of men that want to keep her, that are, and she's in long-term relationships with them. You know, she's attracted them pretty much her entire life. So why is that, right? Why is this person who I'm thinking about able to attract the cream of the crop of the batch of men, but other women out there will tell you that there's no good men out there? All men are dogs, all men are sleazy and things like that. When this woman that I'm thinking about would probably look at them and say, well, I'm not seeing that in my life. I'm seeing there's a lot of really good men out there. Well, the reason, ladies, I'm stone cold truth, the woman that I'm thinking about, that's wife material. She knows how men think. And I've had multiple hundreds of hours of conversation with this woman. And I can say firsthand, she's got it right. That woman will never have a problem attracting a good man, because good men know these good women. And she knows so much about how a man works, how a man ticks. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about everything else but sex.
Right.
A lot of women know how to please men sexually, but I'm referring to all the other things. Because if a woman is proud of how good she is in the bedroom and she's leading with that, you're going to lose. You're going to lose in terms of long-term relationships. Because if all you can offer is sex, that's the only thing men are going to want you for. If you offer so much more than just sex, then that's what men are going to want from you, because they see the value in you. They're going to wife you. So I say that because it's time, especially in today's world. We're making this podcast in the year 2023, and it's according to statistics from people who are doing these stats that are far smarter than me. They do not see relationships and pair bonding getting better. They actually see it getting worse. And there's been stats that have come out that say by the year 2030, only about 50% of women between the ages of 18 and 40 will be married and have children. In the history of humanity, dating thousands of years back, excuse me, about 80 to 90% of all females born on the earth have had children. In just a handful of years, only 50% of you will. So think about what that means. I'm not going to go down that road. It's pretty easy to understand why.
I think I can sum it up for you there, and I'll use one of the great movies, Star Wars. Men want a Jedi, female Jedi, in the streets and a Sith in the sheets. Just to get right down to it, and all of that entails they want a Jedi, mature, smart, wise, good conversationalist, able to get things done, a good, teammate to get stuff done. But, they want the Sith in the sheets. And that, I think, personally kind of covers what you were talking about.
It does. And we've all heard that, right? A lady in the streets, a freaking, what was it? A lady in the street, freaking the sheets, right? So we've all heard that. But think about, ladies, think about what that really means. The freak in the sheets part is what you guys are very comfortable with. A lot of you, it's the lady in the street part that we really need to be working on here, because it doesn't mean that you're well behaved. It doesn't mean we take you to a nightclub or a social event and you keep from being a drunk idiot. That's not what it means. It means so much more than that. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today is really going to be things that, no offense to some women that are listening to this, things that you probably should have learned a long time ago. Maybe your mothers should have taught you that. Maybe your friends should have, or maybe, and if no one does, guys, gals, if no one teaches you this stuff, let me remind you, when you turn 18 years old, it's your responsibility to learn these things. Because at what age do you finally say, hey, even though no one's ever taught me, I still am an adult now, I need to take responsibility to learn A, B, and C. At what age do you feel that would be appropriate? 30, 25, 18? Yeah, I think most people will say about 18. Yeah, I mean, whatever year you decide to choose, chances are you've already passed that year. So it's time for you to learn these things, because I promise you that men have to. Men don't get to look back and go, well, my dad never taught me because I never had a dad. A lot of us never did have a dad growing up, but we still are expected to be in our masculinity. We're still expected to be men. We're still expected to take a bullet. We're still expected to get out there and grind and be on our purpose and do all these things, even though no one's taught, likely, a lot of us have not had the opportunity for the man of our household, because there wasn't one, to teach us how to be men. And women do a good job taking babies and making them into boys, but they can't take boys and make them into men. They can't.
No.
And Dwayne has a plethora of stats to support what I just said. But I don't want to get him on a rant because he'll take up this whole entire podcast throwing facts down your guys' throat. So if you guys ever want to know some of these stats, go check out his podcast called Pissed Off Parent. And he doesn't talk out of his mouth. He supports it with data, stats, and statistics. So that being said, folks, let's jump into it. Ladies, if you need to, take some notes. It's only for your own good. I truly want to help you guys understand men, and I really want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to be loved. And on Mother's Day, I thought to myself, what's the best way I can do to help women be loved and have a fulfilling life? And women were created to create. Women were created to create. Men create things, women create people. And I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. If you are a woman and you think that not ever being married and never having kids is going to be perfectly fine with you and you're going to focus on your career, trust me, when you turn 45 years old, 50 years old, and you got your nice Lexus and your BMW and your Prada purses and a decent sized house, but you're all alone, you are not going to feel happy, secure, loved, and ultimately feel like you have purpose, because a woman's purpose is driven a lot by creation. Just like if you're a man and all you do is play video games and you don't get out there and you don't accomplish something in life, you don't have a purpose. You're not doing anything that's going to affect the world. You're not going to live a fulfilling life either. That's why it's so important for men to have purpose. That being said, let's talk about some of the top things that women can do to understand what men want in a relationship. These are not in any particular order, but one of the first things to do, ladies, and if you haven't realized this already, you're already missing the boat. I think this one you probably do know. Number one, praise him. Praise him. Men, shocker, we have egos. We have to have egos, ladies, because life is so darn hard for a man. We got to get out there and grind, and we got to be in the top tier of men just to attract your attention. Just to compete, to get your attention, we have to fight. So when we do finally make something of ourselves, it would be nice to hear, good job, I appreciate you, things like that. So praise him. The reason why, the need to praise him, is to hear your approval and admiration. You satisfy this by complimenting him on a regular basis. Men have surprisingly vulnerable egos, if you haven't noticed, ladies. So let your praise flow loose. Take time to remind your partner what you like about him and reassure him about all of his qualities. It'll go a long ways. Men really appreciate two important things. I'm going to give you 20, but man, if you could only remember two, respect and appreciation. Do those two, and you can almost forget the other 18. I wouldn't recommend it, but boy, you would be a head and shoulders above everyone else. Don't worry about praising him too much. It's not going to boost his ego to the point of insufferability. Don't worry about making his head so big he's going to have an ego. Trust me, life has a very good way of crushing men constantly. But tell your partner, exactly what you find attractive about him and praise him for his skills. Just like you, men are not good at everything. We have a handful or two, if we're lucky, things that we do well. Find out the things he does well and praise him for it. Compliment him whenever he does something nice for you. You'll find that like little words of encouragement will make him feel loved. The more you praise his positives, the more you will see and appreciate them too. So praising is one of the things that men really like. Number two, give him a little space. He needs space because he wants to have some quiet time alone. You can satisfy this by just being mindful of his time. Having a little time alone is essential for every person. It lets us kind of reorganize, regroup, reconnect with ourselves, things like that. But giving him enough space and time for himself will keep him from feeling suffocated by the relationship. We've all heard where there's times where men are like, oh God, okay, thank you. I appreciate all the love and stuff, but I'm feeling suffocated. Or guys will say, I just need my space, things like that. Sometimes it's because women are too much, men need a little bit of space. So if you give him a little space, he'll appreciate your trust in him, and you'll share a bond whenever you do let him breathe. Number 3, and this is one that you're not going to get a chance to do this right very often. You're going to get a few chances to get this one right, and if you don't, you're out of luck. Allow him to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
He needs to have, I hate using the word safe space, but I'll go ahead and use it, a safe space for his emotions.
Yeah.
Being there for him and helping him heal. I mean, let's be honest, from a young age, society teaches men to avoid looking weak. Signs of weakness are like crying, complaining.
We're supposed to be rock. We're supposed to be the unbreakable rock that no matter what the hell goes down, we are there making it happen. That's what society, our women, everyone expects of us.
Yep.
And we don't, after it's all done, we're expected just to keep on going, which we do. But having that other person, when you sit down, being able to be vulnerable. I didn't mean to detract from that, but
No, you're right, buddy. Jump in anytime you're on. And Dwayne is absolutely right. I mean, ladies, you have to understand that men are almost damned if you do and damned if you don't. Understand that men have all the same feelings that you do. Men are just taught and trained to never express emotions, because and then when we do, you guys will look at us a little bit different, especially if we do it too often. I tell men all the time, don't cry in front of your woman. There's a very few circumstances where it's understandable. The death of someone or something that you love, the birth of your child, things like that, completely understandable. But don't you come home from work and start crying to your woman that your boss really handed it to you that day. She's going to look at you differently, So it's one of those things where men have not only been taught to not show emotions, but we've also have been taught to see it as a sign of weakness. The problem, though, is that if we don't express our feelings from time to time, if we don't show some vulnerability, the pressure gets too much, and men do awful things in this world. And all you got to do is turn the news on to see what awful things men have and can do, what they're capable of doing. So
it's not just the crying and all that, but like bills and debt and other issues that are going on, being able to sit down and talk about those things, very frankly with your spouse and say, you know what, the tax bill came in and oh my gosh, or the medical bill, whatever that bill is, I don't know how, I don't know how to do it. And, having your spouse be there and be supportive, not her taking over, but having her understand that and then communicating with you to find a solution. Sometimes just like women, we just want to sit there and talk it out and get it out there so we can think through whatever that issue is. And again, just like women, there are times we just want to say it and then find a way that tells us, hey, we talked it out. Now let's get a plan. Let's get it fixed. But, I'd say it's not just the, birth of the child or, death of the parent or, the crying or the over the top emotions. But being able to say, talk about your failures and have that person, and I'm going to look right in the camera here. Don't use, I don't know if I'm going to steal this one from you on the side note here, but do not use that against them in an argument.
Right.
And I'm not saying that happened to me ever. I'm honestly saying that is no either, but this is advice to you. If you ever want to just kill your relationship, be sure to bring up his failing to him while you're arguing when he was vulnerable, because that's one of the reasons why guys don't want to be vulnerable, because they find out it gets used against them and then you'll never have a good relationship after that.
Ladies, listen to what Dwayne's saying. He couldn't have said any perfect. I start off explaining to ladies why men don't show emotions, and if you can understand why, then you have to understand that in the rare occasion that men do show their emotions, two things are going to happen there, two areas of opportunity for you. And that's why, and I started this off by saying, if you get this wrong, you won't get a whole lot of chances to get this wrong because of what Dwayne just said. Number one, if a man shows you emotions, and he's not an emotional man by nature, a guy like Dwayne, a guy like me, I'm not an emotional kind of guy. I don't show my emotions very, very much. I'm like a turtle. I'm hard on the outside, but I'm soft on the inside. Only the women in my life who I love, adore, and trust get to see the soft side of Jimmy Smith. If I show my woman my soft side, that's a huge compliment for most men.